Hi, I'm Daz. This is my Ferguson 3025 record player I've got on the bench again. I've always had a bit of a hum pickup problem with this, and I've sort of investigated what's going on, and I think half the problem is these unscreened connections to the DIN socket. I've also discovered that the playback side of this socket is not connected. It goes to the circuit board but it doesn't go anywhere. You can see the two 330k resistors for record, and you can see the unscreened cables here. So what I'm going to do is fit screen cables and earth them at this end, and I might move these 330k's to the other end of the chassis as well, so that it might incite less pickup by putting them closer to the input when the DIN plug's not in use. So that's what I'm going to do. Here's my screen lead. It's actually a bit of twin screen lead, but it doesn't matter, just use both connections. And I've just attached a 330k resistor to it, and I'll sleeve this up to the resistor and then attach that to the board. Well, I've fitted the screen cables in. I've left this one long to try and compensate so they're both the same length, because there is some capacitance on the in the cable, of course, which may affect the cartridge. Thing to remember is the cartridge actually comes through a 1.5 meg ohm resistor before it meets the amplifier, which has got an input impedance of about 100k. So, and just looking on the underside here, zoom in a bit, just see the cable here. I've got to tuck that in a bit better. So there's the resistor and then the cable. The screen's not connected. That's your two pickup cables, and I'll get a close-up shot. There we go. That's the screen cable onto the DIN plug, and you can see that the screens are connected there, and there's a link wire. So I've screened it like that. Hopefully that won't cause any earth loops. So hopefully when I put this back together it'll work better. Obviously I've done nothing about the playback. What I thought was you can always use a reverse DIN lead if you want to stick audio back into it, so I think that would probably be the easiest way. Let's show you that close up of that. This presumably is the channel that hummed more with this longer wire, and there's the other one. But you know, the input is going to be a bit more sensitive than you think, because there's a 1.5 mega ohm resistor into about 100k. You're dividing the input by about 15 times, so I guess the amplifier input sensitivity is still 20-30 millivolts or so. So it's still easy to pick up hum, so that's where the problem lies there. Also, I did a continuity test just to make sure everything was connected okay, and I was getting like 2.6 mega ohm. And I thought, well, that doesn't add up, 1.5 and 330. The two 1.5 mega ohm resistors have risen. One has gone well over 2 and one is approaching 2. And, you know, there's a good 10% difference. This might explain why the balance control was always had to be slightly one way. But anyway, I didn't have to do 1.5 megs, so I had to make do with two 680s in series, which is a bit short at about 1.4, but it shouldn't make a lot of difference to the cartridge. It's got a nice high load, so. But yeah, as we know, high value resistors quite often do drift, so that's where the problem was there. Okay, let's turn the volume up. 5. 8, I can just begin to hear a hum. 10, and it's exactly the same in both channels. I bet if I put my finger near this DIN socket, I think that's a lot better than it was. At least the hum is even and you don't really hear it until you get up to about 8. I don't think I'll be playing it that loud. That's interesting. I definitely do have two different size sine waves there, so yeah, the channels are out of the balance still. This is the volume control pot, which is after the first stage audio amplifier, and you can definitely see a difference. I tried flicking the bass control up and down, it didn't seem to make a lot of difference, so looks like I've got a problem with the first stage amplifier. Just looking at the preamp in the record player, there's a 1.5 mega ohm here, so you get the quite the correct loading on the cartridge because it needs to be high. That's the 330 ohm, kilo ohm that is present, and that's a 10 kilo ohm that's not fitted in my chassis. So this is the part I've been screening, and you can see there's this is bypassed emitter resistor here, and this is unbypassed, so that's going to provide negative feedback. Okay, this is the current gain of the good channel, the transistor from that, and the current gain for the Duff channel. So, you know, even though I've checked all the emitter resistors and collector resistors, and I changed the collector resistors, there was a difference. You know, there's a limit to how much you can set the gain, and it not be affected by the fact that transistors are very different. So that's double. Well, that's better. Recommended replacement is BC186. Don't have any of those. I just grabbed a BC327. The gain's high at 300, so I have got a bit more gain, but that's not a problem. I don't think it's going to clip. So yeah, after going through all the emitter resistors and collector resistors, it did turn out to be the transistors. And there's the replacement transistor. That one you can't really see. Yes, you can. There it is, near the red clip. One change I did make to it was I changed the cartridge. Is it Bapner or Bapney or whatever? It's one of those cartridges, and it's a lot better than the original cartridge I put in. Much better reproduction. Stereo, especially the stereo separation, is a lot better.